Today I want to go over the 4 most important things that you needed to know when it comes to owning a firearm. These 4 things are the 4 fundamental firearm safety rules. I'm going to be using this piece of plastic to demo these 4 rules for you. So the first rule is all guns are always loaded. So even if you're 100% certain that your firearm is unloaded and clear, always treat it like it's a loaded gun. Don't do anything with an unloaded firearm that wouldn't be safe to do with a loaded firearm. Many people have been accidentally killed by unloaded firearms. Something where they thought they had cleared the firearm, there was still a round in the chamber, round ended up going off, and it hurt themselves or someone else. So make sure you have a system in place to be able to check that. I will be posting a video of the system that I use to clear a firearm every time. Also, never accept another person's word that a firearm is unloaded. Always verify it for yourself. And always know the condition of your firearm. So anytime you pick up any firearm, you need to make sure that you know the condition of that firearm. So this rule is the only rule that has any exceptions. And there are only 2. The first exception is dry firing. So when you're dry firing your firearm and practicing with it to become more proficient, if you'd like to see a video on me going over some more dry firing stuff, let me know in the comments. But you are not going to be treating that firearm like it's a loaded gun, because you're going to be pressing that trigger, usually inside your house, in somewhere safe where there's no distractions around you. But you're going to be pressing the trigger of that firearm inside your home. And that is not something you would normally do with a loaded firearm. So you need to make sure that you know the condition of your firearm and you have systems in place to help protect you. The second is when you're cleaning a firearm. So there are plenty of firearms that require you to press the trigger in order to take them apart. Glock is a good example of this. In order to field strip to clean and maintain the firearm, you need to press the trigger on the firearm. Most people are cleaning a firearm at their kitchen table or down in their basement or wherever, somewhere inside their home. And like I said before, you're not normally going to be pressing the trigger inside your home on a loaded firearm, so you want to make sure that you always know the condition of that firearm. The second fundamental rule is keep the firearm pointed in a safe direction at all times. So this means to keep that muzzle pointed in a direction where if a bullet were to fire out of there, the bullet would stop with no loss of life and minimal damage to property. So make sure that you keep that firearm pointed in a direction that will not hurt or kill anybody. This is the most important rule out of all of them. If this gun were to magically just go off on its own without touching it, without anybody messing with it, and it were to go off, that bullet would stop somewhere safe without damaging or hurting anybody. The third rule is keep your finger off the trigger until your sights are aligned and the decision to fire has been made. So what this means is you want to keep your finger up along the frame of the firearm, out of the trigger guard and away from the trigger. You want to make sure that you can see through the trigger guard completely. You don't want to be covering it like this and keeping your finger off of it there, because if you were to walk and you tripped or got startled, your finger would come off and come down and press that trigger, sending around somewhere you didn't want it to go. So make sure you keep it up along the frame of the firearm. Some firearms will have a spot right here, a nice good memory spot that you can touch, and you'll be like, okay, every time I'm touching that spot, I know that my finger is out of the trigger guard. Some people will even use the ejection port as just a good reference spot for them to know that they've got their finger far away from the trigger and they're able to make sure they're not going to be pressing the trigger if they get startled or trip. The fourth rule is be certain of your target and what is around and beyond it. So always positively identify your target as what you intend to shoot. Be absolutely certain of what you are shooting and the conditions around it. Bullets can travel through a target and strike something behind it. You might miss, especially under stress. There's a degradation of skills under stress. So you want to make sure that the conditions around your firearm or around your target are safe for you to be pointing the gun in that direction. And you are responsible for the bullet and everything that it hits. So some people will say that there's a lawyer attached to every bullet. And that's true. Every time that you press that trigger, you're accountable for where that bullet stops. Even in a self-defense situation where things are going crazy, if you end up missing and your sights weren't on target when you press that shot and you end up hitting somebody else, you're going to be held responsible for that, because it's your responsibility to make sure that you're only hitting what you intend to hit. I'm going to tell you a little bit of a story about the time that I got shot. So the guys from the Sig Sauer Academy were doing a demonstration at a gun show that I was at. They were shooting really fast, shooting steel targets, shooting balloons, and just kind of demoing different stuff for us. They hadn't set up the steel properly. So when they would shoot the steel, the bullets, the ricochets, were coming back into the crowd. One of them ended up getting lodged in my ear and got stuck. I had to take and pull that out of my ear, and your ears bleed a lot more than what you think they would. I really didn't think there was that much blood in my ear. But it just goes to show that not only is it what's around and beyond your target, if there's something that your bullet could ricochet and come back, it could end up hitting you or somebody behind you. So you need to make sure that you're paying attention to those things and focusing on keeping yourself and everybody else safe. If you found this video useful at all, please go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe, and share this video so that other people can get this message and can use this to help keep them safe every time that they go to the range. Remember, practice even your safety with purpose.